Have you noticed how in times of fear and anxiety, human beings get a lot more tribal? The more threatened we feel, the more we want to remain in the safety of our own camp, the more we categorize people as us or them. And while the word race only came into its modern usage in the 19th century, viewing the other in racialized terms is a practice as old as the Bible. In fact, this is exactly what the Pharaoh does in the beginning of Exodus with the Israelites. He was threatened by how numerous we had become, so he stoked racialized fears. Those people will outnumber Egyptians and rise against us. It is actually this Pharaoh who is the first in the Bible to call us Am B'nai Yisrael, the nation of the children of Israel, as he casts the Israelites as a racial bloodline. Pharaoh's subjugation of the Hebrews affirms how the social construct of race has operated throughout its history, categorizing people by immutable characteristics, segregating, subordinating, in order to create hierarchies of human value. Race is not real. It's pseudoscience. But unfortunately, racism, the way race is weaponized, is real. And the Jewish experience of racism bears that out. From the ancient Pharaoh, who used it to justify enslavement, to the Spanish and Portuguese, who used Jewish bloodlines to execute the Inquisition, to the Nazis, who dehumanized us to enable mass genocide. Now, on Yom Kippur several years ago, I refuted this idea of Judaism as a race or a pure bloodline, but I'm surprised by how durable this idea remains and how many Jews cling to it. Rabbi, you say Judaism is not a race, but I took a 23andMe ancestry test, and it says I'm 99% Ashkenazi DNA. But Ashkenazi only represents one strand of the Jewish people. It would not match the genetics of Jews who came from 1,000-year-old Jewish communities from Iraq or Ethiopia or Yemen. We Jews are a mixed multitude, and we come in all colors, and we always have since our birth as a nation. In this week's Torah portion, after God inflicts the worst of the plagues on Egypt, Pharaoh finally relents and lets the Israelites go. The text says 600,000 of them left. But then the next verse says something surprising and amazing. V'gam erev rav Allah. Moreover, a mixed multitude went up with them. Who is this erev rav, this mixed multitude that joined them? Rashi, the medieval commentator par excellence, says that the erev rav was a mingling of converts from many different nations who joined us. Ibn Ezra, a prominent Spanish commentator of the Middle Ages, says something more radical. The mixed multitude were Egyptians who fled with the Hebrew slaves. Here in this seminal story of the birth of Israel as a nation, the Torah makes clear we were not a purebred tribe of Israelites. We were a mixed multitude. And anyone, even Egyptians, who wanted to flee oppression and seek out their liberation were welcome to come with us. Could that be a vision for Am Yisrael today? Could Israel be a nation that truly includes people we have seen as the other? As you may know, 20% of the Israeli population are Arab Israeli citizens. They have undoubtedly experienced prejudice and systemic discrimination. But they do have the right to vote, to municipal services, education, health care, clergy salaries. Some Arab citizens from the Druze and Bedouin communities serve in the Israeli army. Arab citizens of Israel can be found serving as MKs in the Knesset, surgeons in hospitals, and judges on the Supreme Court. But the vast majority of Israeli Jews and Israeli Palestinian Arab citizens live in segregated communities, go to separate schools, and literally speak different languages. Being the mixed multitude has been quite challenging for the state of Israel. Israeli Jews haven't shown a lot of acceptance for Israeli Arabs, nor have Israeli Arabs felt a strong sense of belonging to the state. But on October 7th, when Israel was brutally attacked by Hamas, all Israel was attacked, the entire mixed multitude. Jews were primary targets, but Arab Israelis, Thai workers, tourists were all among those kidnapped or murdered. And the mixed multitude were among the brave heroes of that day as well, like Awad Darwashi, 23, an Arab Israeli EMT working the Nova Music Festival, who refused to leave because he felt he could save lives. He was shot and killed while bandaging one of the injured. Or Lieutenant Colonel Salman Habaka, 33, a Druze commander of an armored brigade who was one of the first IDF soldiers to enter Kibbutz Be'eri and save many of the remaining residents there. He raced south when he heard the first alerts and was the highest-ranking officer killed at the time of his death, trying to protect Israelis in northern Gaza. Or Youssef Ziadna, 47, a Bedouin bus driver who got a frantic call from the group he had dropped off at the Nova Music Festival to come back, and he drove through gunfire to save them and dozens of others. When asked about his heroism, he simply said, "We are one people. We are Israelis. We live here together, and we need to go hand in hand." Days after the attack, Lucy Aharish, an Arab Israeli news anchor, went on the air to publicly condemn Hamas and share a message of unity. "Since Saturday morning," she said, "the state of Israel is under attack. Our beloved country is under attack." Our beloved country. This was not just the lone voice of one successful Arab Israeli citizen. The Israel Democracy Institute took a poll of Arab Israeli citizens in November, and 70% said they feel a sense of belonging with the state and its problems, which is the highest ever recorded. Just last year, it was under 50%. And 87% of Arab Israeli citizens support helping out with the civilian volunteering efforts of the war, a number that was borne out in stories of Arab citizens working side by side with Jewish citizens to help their displaced neighbors. This could be a fleeting moment of respite, or perhaps it's the sign of a transformative change in Israeli society that can endure. At a time when I hear from too many people in the Jewish community that every Palestinian only wants Israel destroyed, and at a time when the world is accusing Israel of genocidal intentions towards all Palestinians, the story of Arab Israeli citizens and their sense of belonging with and loyalty to Israel needs to be told and understood. It reflects the vision of our origin story of this week. Pharaoh wants to cast our people as a racial tribe to subjugate us. But Am Yisrael is an Erev Rav, a beautiful mixed multitude of Israelis, converts, anyone who will reach back to God's outstretched arm or to that of their neighbor, to walk hand in hand out of that narrow place into a promised land.